What's up, Michael?
What's up, sir? How are
Bro,
you doing?
good. Glad we're finally doing this.
Yeah, we're back at it. Back at it.
Babe, this may be our
It-
actual first real published episode.
let's just do it, man.
Hey,
We've
let's
been
do it.
we've done enough of them, you know. So,
Yeah,
well, I guess practice wise, I suppose. But
yeah, but we got some good ones that could be put out. But
yeah,
this one's, I mean, it's too easy. We record
right.
it, going up on YouTube.
hmm
Done. So, how are you, bro? This is
I'm
a
good.
crazy. It's a crazy time.
It's a crazy time. It is. It's a time for a lot of profound
Hmm.
hint. Uh, profound everything, to be honest with you, from everything that's going on
Yeah.
with in the world, coronavirus, life in general. It's just a lot. I think that to be to be alive, to be able to take a deep breath and talk about anything is something that's very special. And I think that
Yeah.
we're extremely privileged to just be alive, just be able to do, think, talk, love, you know, whatever you're doing. But we're blessed. Um,
100%.
yeah, yeah.
How about the ability to communicate? I mean, as much as it sucks not being able to see each other or hug each other.
This right here is next level.
It's
You
awesome.
know, being
I mean,
able,
it's the next best thing. It
right?
doesn't, of course, replace your face-to-face interaction, but
Never will, never
no,
will.
but
But
it's good.
it's a pretty good damn close second.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I for the longest time, I think, you know, working in the phone industry and the
Yeah.
telecommunications.
You
Yeah,
speak?
yeah. Uh, working in the telecommunications industry,
Yeah,
technology is it's a beautiful thing, and there's that constant argument where um, what is too much, and now is a time where I think it's not enough. If it's used correctly and used responsibly,
yeah,
um, it's it's doing what we're doing right now, being able to communicate, talk, reach out, see how we're doing. Um, it's great. But I think that there's always been that fear of the unknown. I don't know how to use it. Conspiracy theorists and I'm giving my whole entire life away and this, that, and the third. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, I'm able to, sit back, talk to you, talk to my family, talk to my other friends, and
yeah.
see their faces. And besides the fact of just that, but being a sci-fi nerd, movie enthusiast, so like we're doing the Star Trek thing, bro. We're sitting back and being like, let me just boom,
Mm-hmm.
sitting there talking to my sister yesterday. Talk for about an hour and a half, on her
Yeah.
phone and on my tablet. It's like, what? So I
And
mean,
now
I
we
love
have a
it.
space force.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. I won't be the first person to hop on that transporter though. I ain't. No, we ain't doing that.
No, I'm sure they'll transport animals and pizza and stuff like that first. But
Would you really want that though?
the transporter thing,
No, I'm talking about like if they transported like pizza or
I mean,
something. If it,
bro, that's such a hypothetical. I don't even know what to say. I mean, maybe,
I don't know.
but I make
We'll
my
have,
own pizza, so that moot point.
yeah, you got your own bread. You got your own little basically pizzeria over there.
I mean, I've always enjoyed doing stuff like that, but this has forced me to kind of not up my game, but I figured I might as well take the time to learn a skill that you know, if in the case that there is a food shortage,
Right.
I can bake bread. I mean, I've told you this before. I've bartered my bread out. I've traded it for chicken and used it to pay back favors. I mean, we're not going to the store. So
Yeah.
you know this. I haven't stepped foot inside of a grocery store in about 6 weeks now.
Right.
Nothing. We do curbside pickups, we do Instacart, and because my brother and his wife are still working, they're constantly exposed, if you will. I mean, if they were to be exposed, it wouldn't be a surprise. I mean, so when we absolutely need something, they go get it for us.
Yeah.
Because they're already out anyway. But yeah, for us, I mean, it's been a challenge because we're relying on things. I mean, I posted the other day that, this shelter in place has got me making food that doesn't even exist. But, we stocked up on a few things when we first started to see this coming. And, not like an unhealthy amount. I mean, we didn't go out and buy 40 pounds worth of meat because, I think that's part of the problem, right? Is everybody just going to bomb rush the stores and get everything that they can and grab everything in sight.
Yeah.
That in turn creates more panic, which creates more shortage, which then creates more panic. So we were trying to be as diligent as possible. We bought some bags of flour, some yeast, a couple of things of meat for the freezer, but nothing outrageous. No toilet paper because we already had a little bit. I mean, I think we started out with 12 rolls, and we still have quite a bit. We ended up getting we were able to get maybe 4 or 8 rolls, something like that, in the meantime. But I just, I figured back to the bacon bread thing. I figured if the world goes to hell in a handbasket, we're gonna have to eat. Bread is sustenance, and if I could bake it, we can eat. As long as I have some flour and yeast or some kind of cultures, we're good. I have my grill. I can make bread on it. We're golden.
Yeah.
And I also feel like, it's a wise use of time. Find something that you enjoy doing and people can benefit from that you can share and do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if we all come out of this and we didn't learn something, then that's a damn shame.
Yeah.
If we don't appreciate those around us more, or, we don't stand closer than we did before, or hug each other longer, what's the point, man? Those are the things I miss more than anything, is being able to give my brother or my mom or, my dad or my sister a hug, or their kids, anything for that matter. I'm just dumbfounded at how quickly this happened. I mean, 8 weeks ago, before I went to Germany, we were sitting here talking about Kobe.
Right.
We're like, oh, this is going to be the podcast. This is the one that we're going to launch with.
Yeah.
And then none of that matters anymore.
Right.
I mean, we wanted to start this thing because, we had awesome Star Wars conversations and nerdy conversation, which,
we still will.
I'd like to go back there because it's something I appreciate, or even our Disney vacations. Like, a lot of that stuff seems so arbitrary now, and it's really, really kind of crazy how your perspective changes. And
definitely, the perspective does change, but also too, when we look back, like that was I had been to Disney before, but that was my first time really. I feel like, obviously going with you guys, and it was a completely different kind of experience that I'd had before, like with my family, and it was something that this was next level, and considering how everything has kind of happened up to this point, I mean, I'm extremely blessed I had the chance to go, and to see all that, because who knows what it's going to look like or be like going forward. We may not be able to do the exact same things that we did before.
Yeah.
You know, tons of
It's
people out there lined up so close together. Like, yeah,
it's an interesting question. I mean, we've thrown this around at work and, virtually, but what is this going to be like when it's over, right? What's the new normal? And I can tell you from experience that um, going through what we went through over the last 2 years, well, year and a half, you at some point you expect normal to come back, and then the further away you get from normal, you realize that there is no going back, right? Once that critical pivot point happens, when your life goes in a different direction that you didn't expect, there's no going back, right? Because it'll never be the way that it was before, because the way that we approach things, whether we wanted to or not, I said earlier that, I hope people are going to learn something out of this, but I'm sure everyone will, right? Like I'm sure everyone is going to somehow take certain consequences within their own life, whether it's cleanliness or hygiene or, just paying attention to, wearing like we do, no shoes in the house, right? Because you're dragging everything that you just walked through your house. Whatever the case may be, the new normal is going to be whatever happens next. And I don't know what it is, obviously, but it's an interesting hypothesis to kind of, to kick around, and it's occupying quite a bit of real estate in my head. I'm trying to figure out what it's all going to be like. I mean, business wise, you see it, I see it. We're much more efficient than we ever thought we were, right? Like even our company, we have not missed any suspense, any deadline. We've 100% supported our client, and it's been amazing to see what a team of people can conjure up when it's challenged, right? And the first couple of weeks, of course, were clunky because technology hadn't really caught up to support that many virtual VPN users. But all in all, it's been awesome. So that leaves the question, what is the determining factor of productivity? You know what I'm saying? You've been working from home and you feel like, one, you're much more productive. Yeah. Two, you're more flexible. You feel more empowered and at home as in like more, more comfortable within the space that you're in. Is this what it's going to be like working from now on? Because, I mean, that's not necessarily a downfall. And, well, this situation is tragic as is, but, like I said, if we don't come out with some positives and we don't come out with some lessons learned, it's all for nothing.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of changes. This new normal is going to change the landscape on everything that we do, the people that we're around. We've already been affected by it. Working in customer service, let me just say this: any job where you're going to be around your customer and you guys are going to have some type of an exchange, I don't know how that's going to be. There's going to be, well, number one, you're going to have to protect yourself and others. Yeah. And that's kind of a given there. But our mindset of this new normal is we're going to have to accept it. We're going to have to roll with it. And it's going to be touch and go. And I think that's the one thing that no matter if you're, the customer or the employee, there's a relationship there, period. But this relationship is going to have to be reworked in this new world. There's going to have to be a lot of
Yeah.
understanding on both sides.
Well, you have to
Um,
reframe how you interact with people.
exactly. You know, a lot of the things that I have been doing recently, I mean, I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of research, things like that. But a lot of the training things that I've been doing is he talks about empathy. You know, I think in this new world, empathy is really going to have to take the lead in everything that we do. You know, no matter if I'm walking down the stairs and I see somebody and they might be having a kind of a crappy day. Granted, maybe I've never met them before, but I have to be in a mindset place to say, hey, are you okay? Do you need any help? Like, what's going on? I need to be able to put myself like in their shoes. And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to experience everything that they're going through, but I have to understand it, right? You know, we all have the story that we tell people and the story that we tell ourselves, you know, but a lot of times, how do you get to that point? You know, of
I don't know.
expressing
Yeah.
somebody or finding out what's going on. It's that vulnerability piece that's there. And if we can make ourselves vulnerable so that way somebody can tell us what's going on, so that way we can help them down the stairs, or we can help them, you know, purchase something or adjust anything on their accounts, or sell them real estate, or no matter what it is, we have to be able to do that. But there has to be that understanding where I'm coming from and where they're coming from as well. And that's going to have to be, like I said before, like reworked and kind of redone.
Okay.
And I hope and pray that people understand that, because a lot of times
Yeah.
it's if I go through something, it's all in my head, it's all in me, and I
Yeah.
don't want you to know about it. You know, I'm gonna, you know, act a certain way, and I'm pissed and I'm angry and I'm yelling and screaming and all this and that. Like, but there's something behind it, you know. But if I
Sure.
can pause, or if you can pause and understand, oh God, this person is really upset about something. I wonder what the heck is going on. And everything that's happened up to this point, I mean, there could be some serious stuff, you know, with his family or with their family, or no matter what's kind of
Yeah.
going on. But I just hope that we can get to a point where we can kind of just pause and not just have to really focus upon, we just see somebody as a vessel, as a person, instead of seeing them as a real human being, that they're going through things just like how we are,
Yeah.
you know, and it works both ways. And that's going to be the
So
challenging part. But I think that we can do it. It's going to have to be relearned, but I believe, you know,
I believe 100% that, I have a lot of faith in the human race. I will say, or I guess let me pose this question then. Have you looked at Facebook? Because I don't know if empathy is really what people are gunning for.
no, they're not gunning for empathy. I think everybody is in kind of a selfish. Not selfish is a strong word, but I think there has to be some truth to that. They're looking out for themselves, or looking out for their family, or looking out
Yeah.
for maybe a political angle, or how they feel, you know, internally. No matter what side that you're on, you know, and that's human. We've all done it too. We have our
Yeah.
biases, you know, but the empathy thing is something that it's people don't. I really honestly feel like, depending on the type of person, human that you are, empathy is something that's not out there on a consistent basis. You know,
Right.
ever since I started working, or really since I probably was a little kid, like, um, I feel like I put myself in other people's shoes to understand what they were going through.
Yeah.
You know, and it goes back to, you treat people how you want to be treated. You know, so if I'm getting treated like crap, you know, or you're treating somebody like crap, it's like, well, wait a minute now. I put myself in their shoes, and I'm treating this person you know, some way I don't want to be treated.
Mm,
That's not right. You know what I mean?
agreed.
So
And I think it has something. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off,
you're good.
but
You're good.
I really do think it has something to do with we only want to see ourselves, right? And we only want to see what matters to us. But the truth is that, you know, I'm coming at this thing from a completely different angle. I have an immune compromised child that, you know, I have to care for, and I have to make sure that she doesn't get sick. There's moments when I feel like, you know, maybe we're overdoing it. Maybe it's a little bit too much to, you know, basically have a decon center, you know, like a hazmat station in my house where we go from clean to cleaning, or from dirty to cleaning to clean, right? I mean, when groceries get here, they get put in the garage. There's a dirty zone. Then there is a station where I have a clean plastic tub. I wipe them down. I disinfect them. They go into this plastic tub. Then from the tub, they can go in the house. If it's produce, that produce goes in a different separate tub. From that tub, it goes to the sink. It gets hand washed. Every egg gets wiped down. And maybe that's too much, but I don't know, right? So it has nothing to do with being fearful. It has nothing to do with being panicky. It has none of that. I'm simply not going to let this happen to her, right? And if it does for some reason, then by God, we'll make it through it. But my point is that I would rather be wrong than right. If I'm doing all of this and it's stupid and it's way too much and overdrawn, cool. I'm not willing to take the risk, right? So I saw this post on Facebook the other day, and someone was like, you know, if you want to be scared and cower in your house, then you should be able to do that. And I read it, and I was like, just let it go, Till. So I kept scrolling, and then I started thinking about it, because it really did eat away at me, because there's people out there that think just because we're staying home, just because, and it's of course not directed at us, and taking it personally is crazy. But this goes along my comment where I asked you if you've seen Facebook, and I'm not sure that empathy is necessarily where we're headed. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that people don't consider, or in general, I wouldn't say that, based on what I've seen, there's not a lot of consideration out there for, hey, what are some of the other people going through? Like, why are you staying home, right? Because I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't even know what it's like if, you know, if I was in a position where I wasn't able to telework, and, you know, I was collecting unemployment because my job had disappeared. I don't even know how I would react. I would want to open this thing up probably so I could feed my family, right? I would be out on the street. I would be delivering Instacart. I would drive Uber if I had to. I would do whatever I had to do.
Yeah.
So that then changes the perspective, right? What I'm having a hard time with is that there's so little people out there that are like, yo, hold on. You know, you got to understand that there's people out there that don't know how to pay their mortgage in 3 months, in 6 months, when their forbearance is over, right? Because they haven't been getting paid for 6 weeks.
Right.
So I think to put it in perspective, you have to consider that, yeah, some people are scared of this thing, and that's okay. But some people are also scared that they're not going to make it financially to next year, and that's also okay. You know, I mean, we're talking livelihoods here. And I know that there's a lot of argument to be made to say, well, you know, if you catch this thing and you die, then what's the point? But I mean, I think people should be left to make their own choices. But I also think that those people making that choice should consider their choice wisely and should consider the fact that, yeah, I can stay at home because it's my choice. But if you're sick or you're asymptomatic and you have this thing, and you go to the grocery store and you sneeze or cough or touch something that then gets delivered to my house, and I give it to my daughter, or you give it to your 85-year-old grandmother, that's a problem.
Right.
So there's a balance that has to happen where, nobody expected this thing to happen. Of course not. How could we have? But you know what my favorite saying in the military was? And still one of my favorite, I guess, notions to live by is adapt. You adapt and overcome, right? Flexibility. And I approach a lot of things that way because Murphy's Law says anything that, can go wrong will. Even your best plan, whatever you think is going to happen, something could change that, right? And, you always have to give some sort of room for flexibility. You have to, as a human being, you have to account for the unknown or for the unaccountable. You have to figure that no matter what it is you're going to do, something could happen that could derail the whole thing. And, I'm not saying live in fear, but prepare maybe a little bit for the unknown, right? Put some money aside. I forget what the exact statistic is, but it says something, it's something crazy, like 60% of Americans cannot afford an unexpected $500 expense. And that's a completely, realistically, it's a socioeconomic problem or discussion that, we can gladly have, but I don't know if I'm ready for that. But
Yeah.
I think the crux of it is that, we've experienced so much growth over the last 10 years financially. We've experienced the markets just running away from us that nobody really thought anything like this could happen, right? I mean,
Well, you have to leave what you kind of mentioned. That, you have to have that flexibility.
yeah.
But I mean, it's all everything you said is right on point. Having to be able to be ready for something like this, nobody ever will. Change is always going to be the most consistent thing. But at the same time, are we ready for that change? Not even from a financial standpoint or anything, but mentally, emotionally, are you ready to get hit in the face? Everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the face, right?
Yeah.
Plan goes out the window. Now what the hell am I do? And I think that's one of the things. I think for me and you, I think we're in pretty good positions right now.
But I mean, that could change tomorrow.
It could change.
You know what I mean?
That, and that's the whole thing about it. And me and you are, but at the same, in that same breath, with the same token, that is America in that same spot? Are we all in a good position? Are we all aware, and are we ready to take that hit, or that hit that we're kind of going through? Like we're all connected. So one of the biggest things that kind of popped into my head when all this started happening is that all of us are going to be more connected than we ever have before. When I would be at the store working and everything like that, people would come in all day and we say hi, we shake hands, and everything is all good, right? I'm connected to them, no matter what I'm doing with a sale or a conversation or what it is, whatever it is. But now, I go to Publix or I go to CVS, I'm more connected than ever. I got my face mask on and I'm walking past people trying to stay 6 feet away. You are aware of everybody and everything that you can be around or touch. We're more connected, we're more aware than we ever have been. And, I don't think that's going to change. But the question would be is, how are we going to let that affect us? How is that going to allow us to grow and be a better person, a better version of ourselves going forward in the future? Like you kind of mentioned, are we going to kind of cower down? Are we going to have this sense of fear or dread with everything that we do? no, we shouldn't do that. But
No.
ultimately, I think that you should trust yourself and allow yourself to kind of maybe grieve a little bit that the world that we came from, the things that we used to do, going out to the club or going out to the bar or hanging out with friends the way that we used to, that time maybe gone.
Oh, God,
There's
wouldn't
gonna be
that's
a
so insane to think about that, you know, are we ever going to go to another movie together and sit next to each other? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I truly believe I think that we will. I think that it'll
I
get
hope we
I
do.
yeah, I think it'll get to a point when, there'll be vaccines, there'll be more awareness of maybe what this virus really is, and get down to the nitty gritty and kind of
Yeah.
find out a better way to prevent it from spreading. And then if you
Yeah.
get it, what you can do to not allow it to kill you, basically. So I believe we're going to get to a point, you know, but for right now, we're in those beginning phases of, hey, like we gotta accept this change. We have to. If we're gonna fight, if we're gonna
Yeah.
fight and watch the news and look at everything from a political aspect and allow the media to dictate how we think and how we feel about things. You know, I had to turn off the news weeks
I
ago.
did too.
I'll turn it on and I'll kind of get an update here and there, but the agendas and things of what, no matter what station that you watch, um, there's so many ideas out there. The only thing I think that you or I or whoever should be thinking about is, how am I being affected by this today? My family, my
Right.
friends, what I'm going to do. If I got to go for a walk, I'll walk past somebody. How is this going to affect me today? Because who I am today is going to dictate who I am tomorrow and what I do, you know?
Yeah.
And if we can't grasp that concept, we'll be doomed. But it's going to have to do a lot of with self-reflection. During this
Yeah.
time, I've taken a lot of time to kind of focus on me.
I know
I
you said
hope,
that.
I hope a lot of other people have kind of done that too. There's a lot of,
Yeah.
you can call them demons, you can call them thoughts, you can call them stuff that you got to deal with. But there's a lot of stuff that, I've sat back and done a lot of thinking, a lot of writing, a lot of reading,
Yeah.
and it's made me a better person. Because what's funny is that when you're going through your regular job and you're working and you're doing all this and that, you are distracted by all of that. You
Oh
are
yeah,
kind of
100%.
distracted by yourself with all the stuff that you do. Granted, it's your job. You got to do it. You got to go out there, and if you see your friends and enjoy yourself, but being alone with yourself, being alone with your own thoughts and your own issues, it's next level, but it's challenging because you can only lie to yourself for so long, you know, the truth within you, but admitting it to yourself
You
and
can't
saying,
handle the truth.
right. You ain't got no damn choice now. You
Right.
quarantine, you got quarantine down, but just allowing yourself now, before you actually get there, you have to kind of know the fact that, I got some stuff I got to work on.
Yeah, but I mean, so people that are self-aware, I'm sure, are doing this, but I'm also sure that there's some people out there who are like,
Well,
nothing wrong with me.
it's an acknowledgement. Like, so if you don't think that you have anything that's wrong with you, then you're not gonna think that. But if
Yeah.
you know that, hey, from an internal standpoint, I've got to get better. I know that, this bothers me and this, that, and the third. And if you start to go, down that rabbit hole and go deeper and really,
Yeah.
do some self-therapy, self-counseling, and kind of figure out kind of who you are, ain't
Well,
nothing wrong with that. And I think everybody needs to do it in some way, shape, fashion, or form. But I think that this time right here is a time where it's like, if you didn't know yourself before, you would get to know them.
yeah. I mean, I've been preaching this for a long time. I mean, when you're presented without the choice, right? You manage because you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that probably thought, man, there's no way I could be locked up in my house for a month or 8 weeks or however long, right? And now you're doing it. That was one of the most profound things when I deployed and I was in Iraq in 2005. you're on this small little base and you can't leave, right? But it somehow just works because you build some kind of routine, and you go eat breakfast in the morning, then you go to work. And I worked 18-hour days when I was out there. But work was just part of my daily routine because there was only 3 of us. We manned this spot. And, we had a TV in our area. We had video games. And it ended up almost becoming sort of a hangout where, because everybody was in the same boat, we lived in this small tent city, but they all came together and hung out where we worked. And it was a great time. But the isolation that the fact that you couldn't go outside of the wire is the same thing as this. So for me, going into this, and we've been almost quarantined for 18 months. We've completely limited access to our house, and social gatherings have, for us, not been very large in numbers. We pick and choose where it's safe and where it's acceptable for us to go. And more recently, prior to this happening, we were pretty much fine. But the one thing I guess that comes out of all that is the deep appreciation for normalcy, right? Being able to hop in the car, go to the store, come home. Because when you're deployed, you can't do that either. You got to wait for a ride, and you ride in somebody's pickup truck to the to the commissary, or not the commissary, but the BX or PX, whatever it is on base. And yeah, so for me, that part isn't very difficult. For me, it's the human interaction that I miss. I miss that at work. I miss that, with my friends and my family, the physical human togetherness. But, I think we're making the best of it. With me, I work a full schedule. I have to homeschool. Sam's working, so she's juggling the same things, and it's not easy, but it's been really refreshing. So because I'm able to embrace this isolation, or this drastic change in determining environmental factors,
mm-hmm.
It doesn't bother me. I've really just focused on what I'm enjoying about it. I focused on the positives. Yeah, wiping down your groceries is painful, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. So it's not not even a source of contention for me. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
And outside of the crisis, and outside of the tragedy that it is, and the fact that I miss hugging people, or shaking people's hands, or just being in the same space, like, I've enjoyed it, and I've just taken the positives. I've spent so much time with my son that I really desperately needed. He's happier because I've been super patient with his school, and all of a sudden, like, I come out here at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and he's already sitting here doing schoolwork.
Wow.
All on his own, because he realized that if he gets it done, he's done. Like, there is no more to do for the rest of the day. And we got him to that point. The first week was it was awesome.
I think the first week for everybody, no matter what they were doing, was like, yeah. Oh my God, like, what's please no.
But it's been really good. Outside of the obvious chaotic world that's outside of my 4 walls. But
so here's one question. So when all this started happening, so we can try to backtrack a little bit, how did you feel when all this coronavirus stuff started going down. I mean,
Okay.
news reports started hitting. You know, you remember where you were at when it was like, yo, this is serious. This is big. This is next level.
So it was the same week that I found out. No, I found out my dad passed away and I needed to go to Germany for the funeral. And that's when I started hearing rumblings about it. It was around the same time that, you know, Shanghai Disney World shut down and, you know, the reports started trickling in from China. And yeah, so it wasn't really necessarily a concern because, you know, nobody really knew how fast this thing was going to spread, how, you know, what the incubation time is, whether you can infect people or not, what the infection rate was, nothing. Nobody knew anything. So we made plans to travel. And as you know, March 1st, we left.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember talking about it. We were like, oh, yeah, I mean, you know, this coronavirus is getting pretty serious in Asia. But at that point, there was only like 16 cases in Germany. Not many at all. I mean, it was definitely not a severe source of concern.
Right.
You know, we made sure that we packed some Lysol wipes. We wiped down everything in the plane, just, you know, precaution, which is typically stuff that we do now anyway,
right?
Because we've already been in this mode since September of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we get to Germany and, you know, we bought big 5-gallon Ziploc bags. So as soon as we got to the hotel, the clothes that we wore on the plane, they came off. We Lysoled the rental car. So we started with a clean space, which, you know, I mean, at that point, that's all we really were able to do. And then we started hearing more and more reports in Germany. And we were there we got there on the 2nd. We left here on the 1st, got to Frankfurt on the 2nd, left there on the 10th. So we were there for, you know, 8 days-ish. And they were shutting Italy down as we were walking on the plane in Frankfurt to come home, right? Like, even at the funeral, like, I was still hugging people, and it was kind of a source of concern, but it wasn't necessarily, I wasn't like, no, right? We were careful. We washed our hands. We had hand sanitizer with us wherever we went because we already had a stockpile at home. Yeah, we just made sure that we were clean and we just kept doing our normal thing as if the baby was with us. But yeah, then we get on the plane and Sam's like, she showed me her phone. She's like, look, they just shut down Italy. And I was like, Northern Italy. And I was like, wow, my God. And, you know, then I think there was at that point maybe 1 case in the U.S.
Confirmed.
And this is 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then we get home and Fox had his Taekwondo tournament.
That was the 13th, I believe.
Yes. It was the following weekend. It was the weekend after we got home.
Yeah.
And actually it was 16th. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'll check. It doesn't matter.
I have it. Yeah, I have it on my phone too.
So, well, hey.
14th.
Yeah.
March 14th.
Saturday the 14th.
Yep.
And I was like, should we go? Should we not go? It'll be okay. But my work, I was on 2 weeks of bereavement leave. And I was supposed to be back to work that following Friday, so the 13th. On that Thursday, they were like, hey, you know, you were just traveling to Europe. We probably think you should just shelter in place, self-quarantine. And I was like, All right, got it. Right. So after that point, we pretty much shut everything down.
Yeah.
And then, I was basically sitting on the sidelines because, we were still kind of going to the grocery store, but very limited, only like one of us in, just getting necessities. But then it just started spinning out of control. The numbers started climbing and climbing and climbing. And, you know, as the numbers kept climbing, we started staying home more.
Yeah.
But that was kind of how it all happened for me. I left the office February 26th. It was my last day, and I haven't been back since.
Yeah. I remember, I think the time for me where I knew it was like, yo, this is bad.
Yeah.
I was, just the day that they announced that the NBA is suspending their season. I'm sitting down, probably watching the ESPN, watching something, and all of a sudden, thing pops up on Instagram or Twitter, and then I turn to look on the TV, and NBA has suspended their season. I was like,
Yep.
oh, this is serious.
There was a point where you're like, okay, this is real.
Right. If you got major sport, I'm 40 years old. I don't remember any kind of sporting event being shut
You're 10
down.
years older than I am?
Bro, come on, man. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. I don't remember any major sport just like shutting down, maybe before a flood in the arena or something like that.
Let alone every
like,
one of them.
Right. All the arenas done, and then it quickly followed suit. All the events.
I remember the Olympics being postponed the next year.
Yes. Yes. Once
Disney
World
that hit, shutting down.
I'm like, yo, this is it. And then after that, kind of like with you, everything else has kind of followed suit.
Yeah.
You're watching the news, my job, my work was, very, very good. They were just like, yo, we're going to protect our customers. We're going to protect our employees. We're going to protect as many people as we possibly can.
Okay.
The way that this thing is kind of spreading and whatnot, like we're just going to hit the pause button on all this. And
yeah,
because and this is kind of common knowledge now, but if somebody gets it, you don't know that they have it, they can bring it home, spread it to so-and-so. The perfect example movie.
Who told you that? Brian Camp?
Oh, no. See, hey, don't do that. Don't do that.
No, I don't. I'm just, hey, if I see an opening, I got it.
I know. No,
but
I think everybody has seen Outbreak. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix right now. You want to check it out, go for
on
it.
Netflix.
Trending. But there's a perfect scene in there where, guy, spoiler alert, guy gets this
I don't know
virus.
if you need to say a spoiler alert. The movie is 25 years old?
Well, some people haven't seen it, so,
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just being courteous.
No, go ahead.
There's some older movies out there I haven't seen, and people will be talking about it. I was like, hey. But,
bro, chances are, if you haven't seen it, you probably aren't going to see it. But okay.
Right. But there's a scene in the movie where a guy gets sick. He goes into a movie theater, and he's coughing, hacking. The virus gets up into the air, and it's spread throughout the whole entire movie theater. Needless to say, everybody gets sick. They all go to the hospital. They're overrun. Don't know what's going on. But just that idea right there, and a lot of
it's like
my
textbook.
coworkers and friends, right? We kind of understand that, and I think obviously it requires me trying to put myself in other people's minds and try to understand what they're thinking, because that idea of spreading a virus and it being spread around is very elementary to me. But others, how they think and how they're processing certain things, it's different. And I'm not going to fault them for that. It's just they are thinking about it in a different way. But that is how easy that thing can get spread if you don't know that you have it. And I don't want to be the one where I catch it at work and I bring it home, to my dad, my sister, my niece, to you, to your kids, and
Yeah.
I didn't know, and I ended up killing somebody because I was too uh,
Negligent.
negligent, and instead of just pausing for a second and just doing the right thing or doing the healthy thing, the safe thing,
Yeah.
you know.
But that again, I mean, that brings me back to what I was saying earlier.
Right.
Just because you may feel that is the right thing to do, that's based out of your reality, right? I agree with you 100%, but there's people out there that don't have a choice and they have to go to work. You
Right.
know, there's people out there that don't have a choice because they're literally out of cash and they have to go feed their family. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, why we're in this situation, you know, again, is another conversation. You know, why we have to live in a world where economic measures matter so much still is a different story. But you know, with freedom of choice also comes the freedom to make bad decisions or decisions that you wouldn't necessarily make if you were presented with different circumstances.
That's true.
So I think we have to keep that in mind, and it's real easy to judge other people. You know, I've found myself saying, you know what, I don't understand why people are pushing so much, and especially in Georgia. I mean, we've been quote unquote open since, you know, for a week now. At least the essential nail salons and
Uh,
hair
yeah,
salons
almost.
and
At,
whatnot. But
at yeah, at this point, almost. Yeah, yeah.
but the point is that, you know, again, it's those people's livelihoods, and I I feel for them, and I don't want to be out there judging them, you know. And it took me a little bit to get to that point, just because I come at it from, you know, trying to protect my daughter. So for me, that's my number one priority. And you know, I'm still working, so I have a different perspective on this thing.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know if you can necessarily, I just said negligence earlier, but I don't know if you can necessarily call it negligence. You know, I'm sure there's
I think
probably
it.
some people out there who just don't care. Like they're having Corona parties, and you know, it
I
ends up
think that's.
being a super spreader event or whatever they're calling it, and that's negligence.
Yeah, and that's what I think is, if you, and then plus two with the decision choice that you make, if I was like, oh, okay, well, I know this stuff is going on, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just do this anyway, then that's just a bad decision if
Yeah,
it leads, not even if it leads to, I don't know, there's judgment in it, and from my perspective, I don't want to judge anybody. I guess I'm just grounded in the choice that I think is the safest one.
and I am too. I stand behind my choice 100%.
And if you want to call it right or wrong, but again, like you were mentioning, Brandon, we're just kind of repeating ourselves, but it depends on the perspective and what you got going on, like
Yeah.
with you and your life and everything. So
I mean, do I think this thing is serious? Yeah. I mean, it's killed
killed
70,000 Americans or people that
it's,
reside in the United States in
within 2 months, it's killed what, 70,000 people now, like you said.
not even 2 months. Really, it's been 6 weeks. I mean, we only had a few handful of cases in the middle of March.
Yeah, kind of confirmed. That's more people than the Vietnam War.
That's more
When
people
that's
than a lot of things.
right. And I think one of the things too that we do the comparison. I just kind of did it right there, but it really doesn't matter if it's more people than that, this, that, and the third. Like, these are human lives.
Right.
I think we get lost in that. We look at this number and we're like, oh well, we gotta I'm gonna throw this credibility number on it.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, that was somebody's mother. That was somebody's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was somebody's son. And they're not here anymore because they got sick from the virus. This and
We had
that's what matters, and that's the
yeah.
shitty part about it.
No, you're right. It's devastating. we had a lady that delivered our groceries through Instacart, and she was telling us that her husband's mother, so her mother-in-law, lived in New York City, caught the virus, and passed away from it. They sent them a photo of her laying under a tent in the street in New York City, probably like out back of a hospital, because they set up those basically makeshift morgues because they were running out of space.
Right.
And they sent her a cell phone picture of her dead mother-in-law, deceased mother-in-law, so they could identify the body. And this was very early on, and it was like our second maybe Instacart order. So it was still relatively early. So it's probably about, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, maybe 7 weeks ago. But just hearing that made it so real for me that I was like, dude, there's no way I'm going outside. Now, if I absolutely had to, and it depended on whether my kids ate or not, yeah, I'll take it. But if that's not necessary, then there's no way in hell I'm going outside.
Right.
And I'm not going to a grocery store. I'm not going to Lowe's.
How real
I'll go to
it is
the pickup order, sure. Sorry.
Right.
Go ahead.
No. How that's it. Like, that's how real it is. When you hear a story or the experience is connected to you,
mm-hmm.
We thought my sister had it, and through, God bless, thank God she didn't, but just working around and the things that were kind of happening, we kind of had to kind of almost, not kind of, but we had to just kind of quarantine ourselves. And it was like, crap. Now she got, results back of the person that, she was around and helping and, things like that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, just in terms of that concept, that was real enough for me. I'm like, what? So this thing I'm seeing on the news, like, my sister could possibly have it?
Yeah.
Like, my only sister? Like, okay. Yeah, this ain't nothing to mess around with. This is real.
Yeah. And for me, as the time was going along, it got more and more real because I knew of or knew people that had it. And yeah, like, it's not a game. It's real. And there's so many conspiracies already out on the street. Like, it was engineered, it's whatever. But in this current moment, no matter where it came from, no matter what it truly is, the fact is that it's legit killing people.
Yeah.
And
enough for me.
That's enough for me to be like, okay, I'm going to do what I can to keep my family safe. Of course, there's only so much you can do before you start, going completely in a neurosis. But yeah, for now, that's what I'm doing.
All right, so this is kind of cool here. So this will be kind of a time capsule thing, or kind of an idea,
Yeah.
And everything that we're talking about, obviously, this is frozen in time here.
Yeah.
But what would you say to yourself? I don't know. Like, so the future you that looks at this and watches this, what would you tell yourself, the future you, of currently what's going on right now?
So if I could snapshot right now, not assuming that, something crazy happens.
Well, yeah, we're not even going to do anything crazy.
Okay.
We're just going to
So
snapshot.
let's just say,
yeah.
I don't know.
No. So if you had a message,
I'd give myself some stock tips. But honestly, I feel like we were well prepared for this, right? There's maybe a few instances where, because I've heard of people not having toilet paper, and I've heard of people not having hand sanitizer. So one of the things I would probably do is stock up on some things that can help others out.
You know?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, my point is that we've been living this already for 18 months. I mean, just as well as anybody, because you've been here pretty much
Mm-hmm.
every week until this thing happened. No shoes in the house,
Right.
hand sanitizer at every door. And, we can argue the merits of using too much hand sanitizer and killing, all sorts of things that can help train the immune system, sure. But our situation is uniquely different, right? I mean, we let our son play out in the dirt, in the yard, and in dirty water and whatever. But, a cancer survivor is different. So we have to be much more diligent with her than we ever had to with him. And so we already had a pretty good stockpile of hand sanitizer. We had a stockpile of rubber gloves. We had tons of Lysol wipes and disinfectant spray. But again, we've been living this for 18 months. Anything extra that we had, we gave to people that needed it. And I mean, I remember Pato writing in a Facebook post saying, "Hey, I need some toilet paper." And so I brought him a couple rolls because, I had some. Granted, I was like, I can't give you a lot because I don't have a lot, but I'm hoping that the craziness will eventually stop. But I don't think it stopped. I mean, it's still hard to get toilet paper. We're 8 weeks into this.
Yeah.
I talked to the mailman. He's like, "Man, I just delivered a package to a lady's house who's got the entire wall of her living room is full of paper towels and toilet paper." And I'm like, "What? Like, where is your sense of community?"
Right.
That's probably my biggest sticking point is the mentality of people just rushing to take care of themselves. And the crazy thing is, it probably started with somebody that was like, "Hey, I'm going to Sam's to buy, or Costco to buy toilet paper for the office." And somebody in the parking lot was like, "Oh my God, this guy's buying 100 rolls of toilet paper. I need to go get some for me before it's all gone."
Right.
Right? It could have been a completely unrelated event. But, I mean, that's how panic works. It's completely irrational, and I get it. But I still, to this day, see people posting on Facebook, "Hey, do you know where I can get some toilet paper? Do you know where I can get some hand sanitizer?" There was people, we were trying to buy a new thermometer a couple of weeks ago because we have two, and they were giving us different readings. So we were like, all right, well, we bought one when the baby came home from the hospital, and they were like, "Look, buy a good thermometer because, chemo patients and fever, no go. So you need to know exactly what her temperature is at all times." So we bought a really good thermometer. That one was reading different than another one we had. So we're like, all right, well, let's go get another one of the good ones so we can determine which one of the two is right. We went on Amazon. This $60 forehead thermometer that we bought in 2018, someone was selling for $300. And that was legit one of the only thermometers out there. And I'm like, okay. So then, my brain starts going, and I'm like, what would it be like? Because when she came home from the hospital, right after one round of chemo, we went on Amazon. We bought gloves, hand sanitizer, cleaning products to basically make sure the entire house is clean. And I had a conversation with somebody about this exact thing, because there's a lot of truth to the notion that you can make a lot of money in situations like this. And the argument for a free market is really almost arbitrary at this point, because to me, if you're price gouging things that people need in order to stay alive, that's a problem to me. You know, I don't care that it may be a good business idea. To me, that's completely unethical and immoral. Because if I was in that situation, and I know for a fact that there's people that are coming out of the same hospital that we walked out of a year and a half ago with kids that had just received their first round of chemo, but they can't go get hand sanitizer. They can't go get cleaning supplies to keep their house clean, to make sure their baby doesn't get an infection. That makes me sick to my stomach, and it pisses me off to no end that there's people out there charging $300 for a thermometer.
Yeah.
So anyway, off my soapbox.
That was a good soapbox to be on.
Well, it's, you know, that's where I think the line blurs of ethical behavior and you know, your sense of community. Like, if I was coming back from the future to tell my current self what to do, I would probably make sure that I stockpile this stuff over a, you know, 2-year period of time.
Yeah.
So others could benefit. But outside of that, man, I'm really okay. Like, we're good. You know, yeah, the dinners that we're making are, it's like rice and chickpeas and chicken, right? I mean, it doesn't even exist. It's not a meal. It's, you know, we have tons of marinara sauce that we can make, and spaghetti, but you know, you kind of get sick of that. A lot of times what we've been eating for dinner is just like ham, salami, and maybe some hard-boiled eggs and some bread, or, you know,
keeping it simple. Yeah, I think I've stayed on the same type of meal routine like the past couple of weeks. Not doing anything super crazy, but just basic, you know.
We're trying to stick to 3 ingredients. So we'll have like rice and chicken and broccoli, or rice and beans and ground beef. And, you know, it's worked. It's been really, really, really interesting. Because I remember a couple months ago thinking, God, man, I'm so tired of cooking the same thing.
Yeah, once you get into that routine, it just kind of fall. Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one night where we're like, hey, let's just make oatmeal.
I've been cooked breakfast for dinner a couple times.
Yeah. I'm eating a lot of eggs. My cholesterol's probably through the roof. But I mean, it's good protein. You know, it's got a lot of vitamins and nutrients in it. So I'm thinking about getting some chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm an artisan, bro. I bake bread. I make pizza. Have you not seen my Instagram story? I built a farm table.
I didn't see it today. I think I saw it yesterday. Yeah.
No, I don't think I've put a story up. But
I think if I can come back or send a message back to me, or no, what is it? What the hell did I say? I had a message for my future self.
No, you mean a future self message to your current self. That was the question you asked me. You know what I would ask my future self? Are there roads where you came from?
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Right.
Damn, I jacked that question up for myself. I was thinking of like sending a message for me from the present to the future. I think I probably reversed it. Anyway, I think just in my mindset, I'm thinking of just who I am.
Well, you were talking about
the
time capsule. You said this is a time capsule.
So, okay, so if I get from the future, I'm looking back. So this is a
Right.
message for my future self from this time right now.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
So,
So I get to answer that again when you're done.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All right, so I would basically, so a message for me is, I guess I'm so high
You started
strung.
smoking?
No, I'm high strung, high
Oh, okay.
strung,
I
high
thought maybe
strung.
you picked up a habit
No, I paused. I
in the
paused after I said
quarantine.
high. No, no,
I'm
no,
so
no. I'm
high.
no, I think I would just, hey, just relax. It's gonna be okay, right? It's a change.
Yeah.
You're gonna go through a lot of different stuff. A lot of new stuff is gonna come out. A lot of stories are gonna happen. But the world that you are in currently right now is different from where you came from. But it's actually better. It's better because you learned a lot about yourself and you learned a lot about other people,
Yeah.
and it's the truth. One of the things that's been on my mind really through all of this is the truth. What's your truth? What's the truth about whatever?
Mm.
And if you can be honest with yourself and be honest with the situation, because the truth ain't going. I mean, the truth cannot lie. You can only try to manipulate the truth to make yourself feel good about it.
Yeah.
Like the truth is not right. The truth is not wrong. The truth is what it is. It's how you look at it. It's how you feel when you hear a certain thing or see something on the news or experience something that you did or didn't do or whatever it may be. Like, that affects you. That makes you feel something. But
Yeah.
the truth don't feel nothing. The truth is, it is what it is. And that's the biggest thing going forward, is to let the truth be. And then you have to, you got to deal with it. You got to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But I would tell
Like,
myself, relax. The truth is what it is. Don't run from it. Run to it,
yeah.
and everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself? Get a redo.
So a message from my current to my future self, right?
Right.
Okay. Let me get a beer. Hold on.
Pause.
You getting a refill?
Yes, sir.
So I think the message needs to be, for me, if you ever lose sight or if you've lost sight of what's important or you're frustrated with whatever, think back what it was like and how much you enjoyed being locked in the house with your family. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters, right? Remember how much you missed the people in your life. Remember how all of a sudden you wanted to just jump in the car and go to people's houses and have a cup of coffee or drink a beer. Remember to not lose sight of the small things that bring you joy, like playing with the kids in the yard at the end of the day, or baking a loaf of bread for somebody because they did something nice for you. Remember how much you wanted to have a table full of people for dinner. and how much you wish you could have had that at that point. And now that you can do that.
I like it.
Man.
That's very profound. You said it. You said it.
I know this is 100% historic.
Yes, it is.
So Fox got upset the other day, right? And it was, I can't begin to imagine what this must be like for a 9-year-old. Because not only was he told one Friday, oh, we're not going to shut the schools down. We're going to just, we're going to make sure the kids adhere to social distancing, which when I heard that, I was like, bro, you're the school superintendent. What? Have you been to an elementary school?
Like, how many times do you have to tell a kid to stay away from each other? Like, they're not going to stay away.
They can't even flush the toilet without you telling them to flush the toilet. I mean, they're kids. Like, they're not going to stand at the sink and wash their hands for 20 minutes with soap. I mean, they're children. They're gross. That's what they're supposed to be. They're like vessels and vehicles for bacteria to just go from one place to another. And that's okay under normal circumstances. But anyway, yeah. So, and then the next Monday or the next Sunday night, they called it, at some point in the evening, they're like, hey, oh, by the way, we decided to shut the schools down in the county. And I was like, yeah, no shit. But on the other hand, I was like, dude, how are you going to, like, how do you tell people Sunday evening that they can't take their kids to school the next day? Which that message would have been a little better to have put out a couple days earlier. But hey, whatever. I rest my case. For him, this is such an earth-shattering experience. And, because we're still super engaged and we're working and, I'm going to school, but I'm teaching him at the same time and I'm trying to be as patient with him as I possibly can. Thankfully, I found a way to communicate his class material to him in a way where, we don't have to argue about it. I mean, we have a giant whiteboard in the kitchen, or a blackboard, I guess, because it is, a blackboard with chalk. It's not a whiteboard with markers. But, I'm constantly on that thing explaining him things. And, all of that is working so well. But the one thing is that I can't replace his friends, so his recess time, yeah, we can go outside and kick the soccer ball around yeah. But I'm only so much fun because I also have stuff to do. I mean, there's times when I'm on phone calls that I just can't shake. I have to be on there because it's important. And, of course he doesn't get it. How can he? He's 9. I mean, all he's ever known is a normal world.
Yeah.
He's never really seen any kind of tragedy. I mean, he was born way after 9/11. I mean, that was really the last, like, super big, earth-shattering, world-changing event. And I don't know what he's going through. I talk to him and, ask him, hey, are you worried about anything? What's going on? How do you feel? But to a certain degree, you also have to communicate that the seriousness of this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know how he's feeling. But anyway, to get back to my point, I told him, I said, this is something, if you can appreciate it right. I said, unfortunately, there's certain things that just are not possible right now because of, X, Y, and Z seriousness. I said, but there's a lot of beauty in being in your shoes currently. I said, this is an historic event. I said, this is something you'll be able to tell your grandchildren about. I said, try to remember as much as you can. If you need to, write stuff down, draw pictures, whatever you need to do. to capture what this is like, because this may not ever come back. You know, this may be a blip in time, like the Great Depression. And granted, that was more than a blip because it lasted longer, but it's something that will change his life forever. You know, I remember talking to Sam because her grandmother grew up in the Great Depression, and she always saved aluminum foil. Like, she would clean it and fold it back up, and she would put it in a drawer, like big sheets of aluminum foil. And, you know, this may be where, you know, he'll never wear shoes in the house, or he'll always have hand sanitizer around because, you know,
that's just normal.
I mean, say he meets a girl that, you know, is 5-6 years younger than him when he's in his mid-30s, and they get married. And she's like, why do you always need to buy hand sanitizer when we're at the store?
Yeah.
You know, and it's maybe small, but he'll never forget this. It will always have a lingering effect. And if he can appreciate it appropriately, then it's awesome. You know, because he'll remember what it was like when he wasn't able to, you know, get too close to his cousins, or, you know, even have a sleepover or whatever. But yeah, so I think you're right. It is a mental and an emotional time capsule that, you know, we should all take note of, because it's indeed historic. And it's, you know, like I said in my message to myself, there are things that we're missing, and it's those things that we need to listen to, because, you know, I don't miss shopping. I mean, I would love to go to Disney right now because I love Disney, and I mean, you know this, but at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. I would much rather go on a family vacation. Go rent an Airbnb with 15 people and just go. Go stay on the beach, have some campfires. Whatever.
That's for damn certain.
I used to know this guy named Earl, back in my first attempt at college in Oregon. And one day he was given a toast, and he said, here's to the things in life you don't appreciate until they're gone. And this was 2000. And I was like, damn.
That's pretty next level.
And I've made that toast a few times over years. I don't know if you remember, but it's not mine, and I'm not sure it's his. But
yeah,
and it doesn't even have to be a toast, but it can legit be a like something to live by.
Yeah,
because, you know, unfortunately, we don't appreciate those things. And, you know, like I said, and I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but I've been in this situation for a lot longer than most others. And I was just looking forward to everything starting to, you know, level out to where, you know, we could go out, we could go out to dinner, we could have, you know, get-togethers, and it wasn't scary anymore, because we knew that, you know, the baby's immune system was at least able to handle a cough or a cold, or, you know, maybe even the occasional strep. But this, I don't have a clue. You know, the oncologist emailed us very early on and was like, hey, I'm sending you guys a letter for your employers just in case they require it, but under no circumstances do you need to be exposing her to anything, because she is still super high risk. And that's just because they don't know how to baseline her immune system. But anyway, yeah, you know, I've been longing for those things for a while. I mean, I've wanted my nieces over here forever to have a sleepover with him, and you know, they just hang out. But we haven't done that.
There'll come a time.
Oh yeah,
I
I'm sure there
believe
will.
that.
But we have to just keep our focus on those things that are important to us. The things we're missing right now is who truly define us. Right? Those are the things that make us who we inherently need and want to be. All that other stuff, that's just, you know, fancy accessories, if you will.
Yeah. Want to shift gears?
Shift gears. How long have we been going?
I don't know, but it's pretty good.
A little over an hour and a half.
Probably.
No, definitely.
So with all this quarantine that's been going on, I guess from a entertainment, movie, music, writing aspect, I'm at a point where I feel like my senses have been like heightened, and
Okay.
when I hear a song,
Sorry, I'm not trying to make any extra noise. I'm just trying to lock the
lock
mic in place.
down.
There.
Good.
Yeah, I think so.
But like, I see things differently now. Like, so when I watch a movie now, I am seeing, and maybe this is just me, and maybe with all this quarantine, my eyes have become more sharpened. So kind of what I see within movies, all kind of different things. But I watched the movie the other night, and this is just one of the movies that I've watched here, but it was really profound for me. It's called La La Land. Okay, some of you have possibly seen it. Have you seen it before? No.
I know the Oscar went to La La Land.
No, it did not. It actually went. It actually went to Moonlight.
It did for a second.
Well, for about 2 minutes, and then they got it right. So I'm not gonna give that much away about the movie, because if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It is an amazing. One of my coworkers, I worked with her for a brief time, and she is super cool. And she told me about it, and she was like, "Oh, one of my top movies is La La Land." And I kind of looked at her sideways. I was like, "What? Talking about it's La La Land? Get out of here, right?" I knew it had some good actors and stuff in it and everything like that, but I never really took the time at that point to watch it. And I did about 2 weeks ago, and I was blown away. And I wasn't blown away because of, okay, it was kind of a musical and it was about old Hollywood or whatever that is.
Yeah.
The music in it, the way that the story is told in the movie, something that, I don't know, I don't feel like I may have seen that from before all this started happening. I feel like my senses are heightened and I'm looking at things that I never looked for before.
Yeah.
The story was great. It was a love story but lighting and the sound and certain things, the way that it was constructed was, and that's what I'm saying. Like when I used to watch movies, I would watch it with an entertainment type aspect and value.
Yeah.
I'm seeing character and depth and things that I didn't see before. And it's really, really weird. And
you should go back and watch The Last Jedi and tell me how you feel about it.
I thought about it. I'm dead serious. Like I watched, like side note, I watched like a 20-minute. I watched a 20-minute documentary on Rian Johnson.
Not interested, bro.
Watch it, dude. I think I mentioned it to you, man.
I know. I'm just.
It gave me pause into how this guy does his work. right? And I
Yep.
think that the majority of us, because we can go on a whole separate conversation if we go Last Jedi,
I know. Let's
right?
let's let's
We can,
let's
yeah,
go back
yeah,
down the heightened
right,
senses.
right. But just from with that movie, seeing it, seeing different things in there, it's almost like when you watch a movie, let's say 7, 8 times, and you go back and you see different things like, oh, I didn't know that was there, or that's there, oh, that's really
Yeah.
cool. But watching a movie one time and you get hit with the impact of everything, and I think that's one of the things, because I watch a lot of movies, a lot of Oscar nominated movies, actors, performances, cinematography, music, all that stuff. I think when it hits you, when it's made that certain way where it punches you in the gut, and you're like, this is a good ass movie.
Mm.
You know, this is
Yeah.
really good. And you're super impressed. And to the point where, hey, I don't even know if you're a musical fan or you like this type of genre, but I think you should check it out. Because if that can hit you in any type of way, let's say 1 out of 10 of I guess influence that are in that movie that you might connect with, and it might bring you to that next level to be like, oh, this was a pretty good movie. If that can do that for you, it's I don't know. I just love the process now of these new eyes that I have when I look at a movie or a video or Instagram post or YouTube,
Yeah.
deal. Like I watched um I sent this to your brother today. Like I'm not a big baseball fan, right? But I appreciate the sport, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest challenging sports out there. And there's so much just what's the word? I don't want to use simplicity. That's not what I mean. There's so much beauty to it. I'm not a big baseball person. I don't watch it. I watched the playoffs, but the video was about baseball on film. All the baseball films that have been made over the years, from Field of Dreams to
Yeah.
Bull Durham to A League of Their Own, they put it into this 6-minute clip, and it encapsulated so many different emotions in there.
There's
And we
something
haven't
really
had
unique about baseball movies.
right. If there's this sense of hope, and I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. It's something next level. It's almost like sitting next to, I don't know, like some form of happiness. Like again, like I'm not a big baseball person, but when I've been to stadiums and you walk in that stadium and you kind of walk into your seat and you see that field for the first time, there's something very beautiful and just very pure about it.
I think it is the simplicity that is attractive with baseball,
And being able to
because
play it.
you and I'm not saying by simplicity I'm not discounting the skill that it takes to play the
Oh
game,
no, 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 no.
but the concept of the game, you hit a ball with a stick. That's a feeling as age old as probably mankind, right? I guarantee you, because we've been hitting things with sticks for millennia. So
But
I think there is something very inherently human about baseball. And yeah, it takes a high level of skill to play it at a professional level. Not discounting that, saying it's simple. It's not easy to play it. But the concept of it, like, I mean, golf, you hit a ball with a stick too, but you have 14 different sticks. And
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like there's a completely different level of complexity to the game. Baseball is very simplistic in its action. Yeah,
right.
there's strategy and a lot of other things involved. But I think breaking that movie concept down to the simplicity of the sport is what gives you that feel good,
Yeah.
happiness, homely type feeling.
And that's the thing. I asked my dad the other day, I asked him, I was like, why do you like movies? You know, why do you why do you watch movies? Why do you like TV shows? That type of thing. And he was like, it's entertainment. When you go to a movie, you know that you're going to be entertained. You
Yeah.
know, and in whatever way that it does it for you. And I was like, well, yeah. And I kind of thought for a second that I was like, that's pretty a basic answer, but ultimately, that's what it truly is.
Yeah.
And how and the layers underneath that, that's what takes us there.
Hey, give me
So
a
if you,
second.
what you got?
I gotta go plug my computer in.
Okay.
So, heightened sense of awareness.
Okay.
How do you feel? And this is something that I've watched very close. And you said something earlier, and I wanted to make a mental note to come back to it now. Overall, do you think the response has been positive or more negative? And the reason I ask is because I feel like, and this is what you said earlier, that you feel like your company has put people and the safety of the customers before anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the same. I feel in general, we're valuing people more than we're valuing profits. And I think the two, ultimately go hand in hand, because if you had a case where, a business was like, I'm not closing down, blah, 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 we're going to stay open. Ultimately, you're not going to have the people coming in that you did prior to, right? Because there's still people out there like me that are like, hey, it's great that your hair salon's open. I'm not going. I mean, not that I need to, but
Yeah.
or going to the gym or going to get a massage. I'm not doing it. So, your profit margin is already reduced. And maybe that's why, like, in your case, they knew, hey, no one's coming in the store, after this shelter in place. So we might as well take care of our people, make sure they're paid, try to figure out what can we do with this labor pool that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that notion, or that mentality, I'm hoping is what's going to go forward. Because even in my case, they're like, look, we're legitimately putting people's wants and needs before anything else. So if you don't feel like, you're being treated fairly, say something. Because if you're worried, then we're worried. And that to me is, I never would have anticipated this to happen that way. Not in corporate America, the way that it's been for the last, 15, 20 years. Because we have this ever focused mindset on continued year over year growth earnings, or earnings growth. And yeah, I never would have thought that in a situation like this, that they would put people before anything else. And that to me is awesome. And I know that there's people out there that are, quote unquote, in harm's way. And, we're realizing quickly that if our supply chain falls apart, if we don't have people that are willing to say, you know what, I'm going to go out there and do my job and deliver packages, deliver your food, this could all be completely different.
Right.
What
was the initial question?
Well, the initial question was, what do you think the overall response has been more positive or negative?
I think it depends on who you talk to and what your situation is. Maybe I think overall it's hard to say, because what's happening is that I feel like the media, social media, whatever type of media that it is kind of is skewing the truth. to whatever particular way. If you are honest,
Yeah.
if you have a bunch of friends that are posting a whole bunch of negative stuff about Trump or Kemp or CNN or Fox News about their stories and this, that, and third, whatever perspective it is, that's kind of what you're gonna see. So that almost feeds into your psyche, into your mindset, and being like, oh, well, this is what I'm seeing. You're only gonna know what you see, and you're gonna know what you know off of potentially your environment, unless you change that environment. If you're gonna go off and you're gonna do a lot of research and find out a certain truth, then that's what you're gonna know.
Yeah.
And I think the only experience that or opinion or mindset that you have to really be concerned with is your own. So I don't know really if the majority of it is in a good mindset. I think that honestly, I think people that are in a very dire situation, if you want to look at it from that perspective, I think a lot of people are really struggling,
Yeah.
and they're at a point where it's like, we gotta figure this stuff out, man, because I gotta feed my kids, I gotta take care of my employees, I gotta do what I can do
Yeah.
to take care of my responsibilities. I think in that aspect of it, I think a lot of people probably are on the ladder and be like, yo, it's not going good,
Yeah.
not at all. I think a certain amount of us are kind of in a good space, in a good situation, where we can actually kind of give back. And that's good. And I think that energy and that focus needs to maintain. I don't think we should lax on that. I don't think that we should
Yeah.
become lackadaisical to the point where this is our consistent thing. You don't want to take it for granted. There's a lot of things where I'm still being, proactive, where if people do contact me or call me or anything like that, I try to reach out to them as soon as I possibly can, so that way they understand kind of what's kind of going on, because I don't have all the answers, but if they can rely on somebody who they have been trusting for quite some time and be like, hey, what's kind of going on? Hey, I don't have the answer. I don't quite know. But as soon as I know, like, I'm gonna let you know, and
Yeah.
then we can kind of go from there. And that's the only thing that you can do. And that really, in terms of, I think that starts from the top down. And that's been one of my frustrations with all this, is this leadership. I think that our president does the best that he can do. I'll be honest, I don't agree with everything that he says that comes out of his mouth. It's very confusing at times,
Yeah.
and in a position that I have right now with talking, I think that it's very important to respect the position, even if I don't really respect the person,
Yeah.
just from everything that's kind of happened prior. But my biggest frustration is just from leadership there. And I'm not really, talking about politics. Regardless of the situation that it is, I just want somebody that I can look at and be like, yo, just shoot it to me straight. I don't care what it is. Shoot it to me straight. Let me know what the deal is, so that way I can make up my own
Yeah.
decision and kind of go from there. Like, I don't need you to kind of fluff it up and try to make it sound good for me. That's personally for me. Now, other people, they have their quirks and their issues and things like that. And it's a very challenging time with that. But not to get too sidetracked upon that, but I just
Yeah.
think that
Because we could spend another hour talking
we
about that,
we we, we,
or
we
a
can't.
few
And
hours.
I don't think that that's really, it's not the point. I think that gets us
Mm.
sidetracked within that, because really the most important thing is us as individuals, what we can do and who we can be in terms of leaders. If I feel like as though, my president or my whoever above me in terms of leadership is not setting the example, then it falls down to me. I have to be the person that sets that
Yeah.
example. I have to be the one where, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show, hey, I'm going to walk around with a mask. That's the important thing to do. I went to Publix the other day, and I was walking in to Publix, and I forgot my mask. It was in my car, and I saw somebody with their mask on. And I was like, oh crap, let me go back to get it. If I didn't see that person with that mask on, I probably would have been like, oh, let me just go in here. It's going to take 30 seconds. I'm going to go exchange this real quick and I'll be out.
Yeah.
Right. But that person, when they walked in there, they set the right example for me. Right.
Yeah.
And it's the smallest little thing because they were protecting themselves, but they also were protecting me by being that leader in the community or just being just who they were, being safe. That's all it takes. And if we can do little itty bitty things like that in front of
Yeah.
other people so they can recognize that and see that, that's all that it takes. You're going to help somebody help themselves when they probably were not going to do that, thinking they can kind of skate by and just, oh, I can do this real
Yeah.
quick. No. And that's what I mean. Like, we
And
can all be leaders. We just have to step up and not
it's
be
a,
afraid and just be.
yeah, I completely agree. You know, people used to look at us funny when we would hand sanitize or wipe the shopping cart down. And, you know, I mean, the wipes are in the grocery store, right? They're already there. And when, you know, excuse me, I might sneeze. I might sneeze.
Hand sanitizer.
Oh, come
Hand
on.
sanitizer.
Come on. No, I mean, I would, you know, rigorously clean that shopping cart. And people would look at me funny. Like, look at this neurotic dad. But I'm like, other than putting a sign on it that says, I'm a cancer patient, I just let it go.
Yeah.
Because you're not walking in my shoes. You don't understand where I'm coming from. You know, I wish you would do what I do so you don't get sick, because how do you know who's touched that shopping cart? Do you know how many people I see in the bathroom that don't wash their hands?
Yeah.
A lot.
So but I
So
guarantee
that
you
person's
that
peeing.
you've probably seen somebody or somebody's seen you clean that, and it's actually been a positive for them.
I
They've been
hope
like,
so.
oh, they're cleaning it. That's a good idea. Let me go ahead and clean mine, you know?
Yeah. If I can convince 1 out of 10, cool. The
Right.
9 can think I'm crazy. But yeah, you got to do that. You got to be the example. But anyway.
People are looking and we have no clue who they are. I don't know how many times I've been doing something or I've done something in the past where I've helped somebody out or I've said a little, you know, statement to my coworkers or friend or whoever it is, a little statement that just kind of, hey, they're having a bad day, told them a joke and made them laugh, and it was like, okay, cool, you know, just keep doing your thing. It's not the end of the world, you know. This little thing that somebody's always watching, you know.
Yeah.
Most recently, the new Michael Jordan Bulls documentary, The Last Dance, is kind of aired a couple episodes that's out there. And I remember Michael Jordan was asked, you know, why do you always, you know, kind of dress up, and why do you always you're always kind of like on your A game. You always look like you're never kind of flushed and stuff like that. And he said that he always wanted to maintain this image of himself, you know, just being on his game and being respectful and everything like that, because he knew how influential he was. You know, he never wanted a kid to see him or kind of like off of his A game. He always wanted to be like, hey, this is going to be someone's first time that they're going to see me in person, and it might be the only time. So if they see me, they're going to see me at my best with the great attitude. You know, however I'm dressed, I'm going to look clean. I'm going to look good. I'm going to be carrying myself the best way I can, because when somebody sees me, because I'm very popular and I have a lot of influence, and you're self-aware with that, they're going to see that image that I want to, you know, put out and be like, yo, this is good. You know, and
Set the example.
Wow. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, that's next level thinking. And that was back in the 90s or early, you know, 80s to 90s when he had that mindset.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, he's on a different level anyway.
Right. Exactly.
But
and if you haven't started watching The Last Dance, watch it.
I need to. What I was talking about earlier is that I watched this video, and I guess the Lakers were playing the Wizards, and the Wizards beat them. You know,
Lakers beat the Wizards.
the Wizards beat the Lakers.
Okay.
And I guess there was an exchange on the court between Michael and Kobe. And he said, you can wear them, but you'll never fill them. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that.
All right, I got to find that video. I saw it today. I can't believe I didn't send it to you.
Wow.
But yeah, he said you can wear them, but you can never fill them. So I guess Kobe stopped talking to everyone. Like, he didn't talk to his teammates for 2 weeks. And, you know, even in practice, nothing. And I guess they all went to Phil Jackson. We're like, is Kobe mad? I was like, what's going on? And he's like, no, you know, Mike made this comment to him. And they're like, oh. And then a couple weeks later, the Wizards came to LA, and Kobe scored 42 points in the first half and ended up with 55 points in the whole game. And there was a scene from it where Michael Jordan's sitting on the bench when Kobe gets pulled off the court, and he's like, okay.
Damn. I never heard that story before.
No, I'll find it.
heard
I'll
that.
find it tonight, and I'll shoot it to you.
Wow.
It's super cool. I'd never seen it either. And back then I was still paying attention to basketball. Now, you know, I don't have the time. But the whole like sports fans thing, we're gonna have to do another one on.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts?
I mean, I think I kind of started on it early with the movies and stuff, and I think the main point I wanted to kind of get with that is not just with my eyes being able to see things differently now. When I watch a movie or I hear a song, the level kind of awareness it's heightened now.
Yeah.
And I think that all of us are kind of going through this phase of change. And yeah. I think that now we have a different pair of eyes on it. You know, we have a different pair of ears where we're seeing and we're hearing things a lot differently than we used to. And that's okay. You know, and that's the cool part. This is a different type of change that this was going to happen. And I think that this pandemic has kind of forced it a little bit sooner than we all, number one, anticipated. And then number two, all of us wanted. But timing is everything.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a particular reason. We may not know why. It's not our job to kind of get the answer. We can ask all day long, but in the end, you know, the answer is going to be given to us and shown to us. But I think that just embrace your new eyes, embrace your ears, and see things, hear things, and enjoy it, because, you know, this is just one level. There's a bunch of different levels after this, and these new skills that we've acquired.
Talking like a true gamer, actually.
Ooh, actually. But the skills that we have acquired, we're going to have to take these to that next level. So we have to kind of learn to master them and let them be what they are. And there's nothing wrong with it. So that's my final thought. That's where I was kind of wanting to, you know, bring it all around. So
yeah.
Your final thoughts?
I'm glad we have technology.
Me too.
I can't imagine what it would be like if we weren't able to do this or FaceTime. I told Sam the other day, I said, if Apple released FaceTime on the Google Play Store for $10 a piece, they would sell 2.5 billion copies.
Right.
Done. Because everybody would buy it. Everyone would buy it.
Maybe that might be coming. Who knows?
Who knows? Apple. It's my idea. Give me the credit.
Actually,
I tweeted at Elon Musk a month ago, and I said, hey, it would be really nice if we could do Face ID for the keyless driving through the phone app. guess what just got pushed through on the latest update.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it may have been there all along and I just didn't see it. Not gonna say that it was my idea. But anyway, no, I'm glad technology exists, and I'm glad we can at least see each other this way.
Yes, sir.
And I've used my technology a lot more efficiently. I think I've communicated with a lot of people way more frequently than I ever did before.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me hop off.
All right, man. This was good. I like this.
Me too. Me too.
All right. Are you gonna stop recording?
I will.
Cool.
Love you, brother.
All right. Love you too.